I feel like I get really uncomfortable when I catch myself living too comfortably,
Mhm.
which is kind of, I don't know what the word is. But yeah, do you understand yeah, it's like when you're like, oh my God, I've been doing kind of the same thing for this long. And that is weird because I feel more comfortable when I'm doing crazy stuff or like going on adventures or something. I feel more fulfilled and I feel just more excited about life. I like to be excited about life. There's so many exciting things going on.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Get Out of Your Comfort Zone podcast series. I am your host, Farhan Bandeali. I am a global citizen and a digital nomad. I am so excited about our guest today. Jillian lives in the here and now. She follows her heart. She is a badass. She is excited about life and frequently challenges herself to step out of her comfort zone. You can find her in New Orleans creating art and music or driving clients in a pedicab. Today we explore how she stepped out of her comfort zone to create a new life for herself. We will also get to learn more about her relationship with nature, the fears she grappled with, how she persevered, and how the experience changed her. Hello!
Hello.
Hello, Jillian. Thank
Hi.
you. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us. And thank you to the wonderful audience tuning in and who will be tuning in the futures. Um, Jillian, I'd love to begin by having you spend a couple of minutes, sort of introducing yourself and, what is the Jillian Goods experience like?
It's a lot of things. Well, right now, I guess I'll just say like where I am now as
Yeah,
introduction.
yeah.
I'm introducing my present self. But right now I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana. Um, I am a part-time musician. I also do like I pedicab and I do like commissions and draw things for people. Right now I'm working on a tour poster for a band called Tiny Dinosaur that I need to finish. Uh, I was gonna work on tonight again. I go in little spurts where I just like kind of focus really intensely on something for a few hours and then I'll jump to the next thing for a few hours and
Hmm.
uh, so yeah, I live in New Orleans. I'm a musician. I'm an artist. Or I like to create music. I like to express music and create art and ride people around on bikes. Apparently, is
Hell yeah. And a
um,
great workout at that, right?
it's a great workout. It's really
Mm-hmm.
um, it's a really awesome job because I get to kind of do. I really like having jobs. I have my freedom to do them how I
Mm-hmm.
want to. I don't like being micromanaged.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me really uncomfortable. So I enjoy managing myself, and I pretty much do that for everything that I do, which is really awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite the good fortune. Well, thank you for that introduction. Next, I would love to have you tell our audience the story of how our two planets bounced into each other and how we met.
I forget which one I was wearing that day. But you were playing trumps with Adrian Justanis, who was in a group. Well, he is New Thousand. It's like electronic Balkan music, but now has live drums.
Mm.
And I was going to hula hoop. I forgot. I also hula hoop. I was going to
Yes.
hula hoop with New Thousand for a street performing thing, and I got there, and you were playing the drums. So that was a
Mm-hmm.
fun night. It was like 3 hours of music and just dancing on the street for myself and drumming a little bit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
of wild people on Frenchmen Street. Yeah.
And the crowds, right?
Was I'm a hype man. I was the hype man, apparently.
Yeah, you were quite the good hyper upper.
Oh, Mark.
I remember at one point you allowed so generously one of the audience members to use your hula hoop.
Mm. Every time I do that, I make sure to mention how much it costs, and if they break it, then
Yeah.
they give that to me, just in case, because like
Hmm.
I hate to be that. I would love to just be like, yeah, here, play the hula hoop, but I'm like, if you play with it, it comes with responsibility. All right, so
Hmm.
not
Yes, mom.
like this is like I'm making money with this thing right now.
Hmm.
Made an
Yeah.
investment, and I'm like, I'm working right now. I had to say that to someone. The woman that wanted to do it was really drunk, and I was like, I don't want to just like lend it out right now.
Hmm.
The guy was all like getting on me for being uptight, and I was like, I'm working right now. You know that, right? It's like you see street performers, everyone's just like, oh, you're just like having fun, and it's like I'm actually like entertaining you and like getting, I'm kind of like pulling. It's so
Trying to
nasty
make a living.
in the entertainment industry. I mean,
Yeah.
whether or not I signed a contract for the job, it doesn't really matter.
Hmm.
Still like serving a purpose. Um,
Hmm.
and imagining this life without the entertainment industry, like without like when I'm in the industry, without really entertaining people who like to spread joy and like bring
Hmm.
people up, like that's
Hmm.
what we do. And yeah, it's really underestimated, underappreciated a lot of the time. So gotta make sure you know what you're worth.
Hell yeah. And that's why we're here today to like showcase the life of a phenomenal artist and musician. So with that, um, so I know that you're originally from Delaware. You grew up there. So tell me about what your life was like in Delaware and, you know, what made you leave your comfort zone there, your family, your friends, to seek out uncharted territory in Wyoming?
Um, I think there were a few kind of like transitional things that happened. Um, well, I don't know what happened first. I had a breakup, and then like I had some childhood pets. We had a cat die, and then another dog, and then another dog, all in like a few months. And it was
Mm,
like I feel like that was kind of something that might have been, I had that dog for like 18 years.
mm,
I and then I also graduated college like that same year.
mm,
Kind of like I'm free from all of this stuff that was kind of an attachment. Um, and I had a friend who who used to live in Yellowstone, who told me that I could do it, and I was just like, I just want to go somewhere. I just want to do something. And she recommended I go out there, and she was going to come out with me originally, and then she couldn't go. So I just decided, all right, well, I'm going to go by myself. Um,
mm.
and I went out there by myself, and it was like the best decision I've ever made. Um,
Yeah.
as far as just Yeah, like Delaware. My life in Delaware, it was wholesome, just like cute. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
started going to a lot of kind of like rave party kind of things in college. That I would go to Philly and New York and Baltimore and DC and stuff, and kind of just go out to see whoever was DJing or something. And so I was kind of like moving around a little bit, but I didn't really grow up. I guess I traveled a little bit, but not like a whole lot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and going somewhere like Wyoming from Delaware, I was in Delaware, living there for like 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I left and I was like, well, there's a whole world out here. And like, I'm living out in it. And I'm sure this isn't the only spot that's really cool. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been checking places out since then. So I think I went back to Delaware for like 6 months and I was depressed and anxious a lot. Went back a lot of because when I left, I met a guy, and then I went back to Delaware, and I was like, this still isn't like sparking up my Delaware life to be that much more interesting to me. So then I ended up going out to Alaska, and from there, I haven't lived really in Delaware since. I think I went back for like a month once because my car
Amazing.
broken down.
Your what was?
Car was broken down, so I
Your
had to,
core was broken down. Gotcha.
I had to stay in Delaware a little.
So, so I want to put a pin in that because I want to come back to it. But like you mentioned, sort of these life events in Delaware, like you graduated college, you lost, your dog. Um, but outside of that, and like the freedom that you felt, was there some kind of a push that you felt, some kind of a pull, like outside of the freedom, what kind of inspired you to sort of leave that comfort zone? Or, had somebody, was it that friend who like had planted that seed on you in you? What kind of, outside of the freedom that you felt, gave you the momentum, the energy, the potential energy that you translated into the movement?
I think just having, because it is weird when you are all of a sudden granted all of this freedom to do whatever, really, but then there's
Yep.
pressure like to do the kind of standard living. Um, and really wanting to resist that. I didn't I graduated college because I really just wanted to get out of college and I got a lot of C's. So I was kind of like, I'm ready to go, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I felt like a little lost. And I feel like just having someone put a little thing in my head, like, hey, this is a cool spot to check out. You can check it out. Saying like,
Mm,
you can do this and it's available and go for it. Because otherwise I still do sometimes. I sit there and I'm like, I want to go to Costa Rica. I want to go to Mexico. I really want to go to Patagonia. What about,
mm,
and I just like think of all these places and it's like, you got to take them all one at a time. So sometimes
mm,
until you, and I mean, personally, I can think about all these things in circles, um,
mm,
but just picking one is sometimes the hardest part because you could sit there trying to pick where you want to go for like years,
mm,
and not go to any of them because you can't make up your mind.
mm,
So I think I did have that little push. I think the real push, like the push was the breakup because I was just like, I'm ready to go now kind of thing.
mm. So you were in a relationship.
I was for a little bit and then but then I like before right like 2 or 3 weeks before I left met another dude who was really great. Actually, like I'm really glad that happened because there was a second where I was just like men suck. And then I was like, he's really nice. He was really awesome. Our relationship didn't work out, but he's like a really nice, genuinely good person. And there was never anything like crazy that happened. I just was bored and wanted to go to Alaska, you know? So it was nice having a little reminder that everyone is the same.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. And so, like, I know today's focus is going to be sort of your relationship with the big country and nature, but before we get to that, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about what it was like for you to not just step out of your comfort zone, but live outside of your comfort zone, right? So, when you moved to Wyoming, how long were you in Wyoming for? So, like, paint us a picture of, what it was like starting over from scratch in Wyoming, how long you were there, and then I'd love to ask a couple of follow-ups to better understand.
Um, Getting out of my comfort zone. There's something really, I feel like I get really uncomfortable when I catch myself living too comfortably, which is kind of, I don't know what the word is. But yeah, do you understand yeah, it's like when you're like, oh my God, I've been doing kind of the same thing for this long. And that is weird because I feel more comfortable when I'm doing crazy stuff or like going on adventures or something. I feel more fulfilled and I feel just more excited about life. I like to be excited about life. There's so many exciting things going on. So breaking out of my comfort zone was really scary. I remember when I first got to Wyoming, it wasn't really working out. Like,
Tell us more.
Well,
Open up.
a few days of kind of some craziness, but because I had gotten on a plane and then the flight got delayed or something, and then I ended up in Billings, Montana for a few days because like I knew someone who lived out in Montana from like my old church from when I was a kid or something, who came and scooped me up from the airport when I got there because originally there was supposed to be a shuttle that took me from the airport to Yellowstone. I can't even remember how far, but it was far enough that it didn't make that he like couldn't bring me. So I ended up in Billings, which I think was like 6 hours from Yellowstone or something like that. And because the next shuttle was coming on Tuesday and it was Thursday. So all of a sudden I get there, I missed the shuttle. I had to have someone pick me up, bring me somewhere. I was in like a motel room in this place called Billings, Montana, which is it's not ideal as far as not really knowing what I was doing. And I remember being in this motel room and it was like my best friend's birthday and the guy that I was like talking to, it was his birthday. And then I was just like there and I wasn't in Yellowstone and I was like by myself, just kind of like not where I wanted to be and having this like breakdown kind of thing of like, what am I doing kind of. And I remember walking out and I needed a haircut. I wanted to smoke and I needed a ride to Yellowstone still. And I was gonna like take a bus, but everyone was telling me not to because of how dangerous the bus stop was. Because it was kind of a little rundown town. Um, and I wasn't really used to that. Like Newark, Delaware is pretty safe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and I went outside and I met this woman who was kind of a little bit off her rocker, a little bit, but she ended up giving me a haircut and smoking me out and driving me to Yellowstone all within like a 24-hour time period. And they took me on an adventure to this like mountain where we found arrowheads and like all this really cool stuff happened. Um, and I remember being like on the ride to Yellowstone, being in the car, and I was just like, just kind of like driving me a little crazy. And I was like, I'm just gonna sit in the back of the truck and I'm gonna get a 6-pack and I'm gonna put it in my Camelback and I'm just gonna listen to music. So I got into Yellowstone drinking beer out of a Camelback with my headphones on, sitting in the back of a truck. It was awesome. So I think that as far as like the comfort zone thing, like usually when I feel myself kind of like cracking or just like having these like a little emotional breakdowns, like everything is falling apart, it's just like, oh, it is coming back together again.
Mm.
I feel like it's like repetitively happens, maybe because in comparison you're like really bad and then all of a sudden you're like back to normal, or like it's just like a dynamic of like, oh well, here we go, you know, it like comes back, like that feeling, it always like loops back around into something that was that is just like unpredictably beautiful. Yeah.
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 I mean, that's a really cool realization to share. So thank you for taking us on that journey. And I'd love to sort of reiterate it in my own words, because I think there's something very profound here, where, you know, when you're out of your comfort zone, and you know that could be your own choice in your case, or life circumstance,
Yeah.
and just everything around you is falling apart. In your experience, time and time again, without fail, you know, it has eventually sort of come back together to where that difference allows you to, you know, transcend that suffering
Yeah.
and that state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. And that's something, I think what you said about it happening, you know, time and time again, is something that I know for myself I can put a lot of faith in, even if I'm not used to, you know, pushing myself to be uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
as much. It's something that I can hold on to, and put my faith in. So thank you for that. I guess, with that, you know, Wyoming, and you mentioned Alaska. These are these are places that are very, very well known for their natural beauty, right? And just their raw. I mean, I've never been to Alaska, but I've been to Wyoming, and just, I mean, even if you've never been to Wyoming, I'm sure like people have seen pictures. It feels like a different world in the most beautiful way, especially for me as somebody who grew up a city boy. I was quite sheltered from nature growing up. So why don't you tell me, if you could, your love story with, you know, the big country, and like, did you always grow up, you know, sort of spending time in nature in Delaware, or was it something that you weren't as experienced in, that you sort of were more exposed to in Wyoming?
I wasn't super experienced. I definitely had more exposure than a lot of people as far as like I didn't grow up in concrete. Like I had a yard and I would run around in my yard and like catch frogs, and you know, it was small nature. Like it wasn't like like Delaware's not a huge. There's no mountains. You know, it's small,
Yeah.
cute, and quaint.
Mm-hmm.
But there is nature that you can explore. Like you can go hiking or walking, almost hiking. Dude, funny, like really random thing. I accidentally opened my All Trails in New Orleans the other day, and it was like it had like the description for the river walk, and it was like, I mean, all like, every trail that you're gonna find in New Orleans is like easy, 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 and they're all like half a mile long. And I opened it up, and it was just like looking at this description, and I'm like, this is a hike? Like, it's like, are all trails? Sure. But yeah, so it was cute. Like I would run around in the woods in my backyard. I remember like they built a house in my woods territory, and I was really upset about it when I was 12. Still kind of, you know, I like to go back. There was like this spot by the pond. I called it my super secret special spot. A lot of S's. And there was a tree I would go sit by and just like hang out by myself. And it was like my little Jill time. I would go there when I was upset. And there was this house right next to it, and I would have to sneak through their yard if I wanted to go. And it was, yeah, so I spent a lot of time outside as a kid. I really love being, I really love being outside, feeling fresh air. But I wasn't exposed to like big hikes. I remember I hiked Mount Washington when I was in college with some friends. We all went up to New Hampshire. And I think that might have been like the first big one I did, but it was like 9 hours in a day that we just went up. It was awesome. It was so cool.
That's legit.
Yeah, it was so cool. Really, really sick hike if anyone is hikers that's listening or watching. So I wasn't really exposed to big nature. I was just kind of appreciated like the outdoors and around in the woods. So I had never really been like camping in the style that I now go camping. And that was really cool, just like meeting, you know, because when you work in a national park, like people, I mean, in general, I went out there because I wanted to explore and be out in nature. And I didn't really go for my love of waitressing, you know, but that's what I was doing, waitressing in a national park so that I could be in nature. And a lot of people, like, you know, they go out because they want to go hiking. They go out there and do it because they want to be in nature, and they can spend, it was 4 months in Yellowstone being a waitress. And it was like dorm housing, and they had like a meal plan because the closest grocery store was in Jackson Hole, which is like a 2-hour drive. Everything's far away. I was not used to that. So yeah, so my whole love story with nature, I think it's still building up. I'm figuring out a lot of things, but a lot of it I've figured out with people, and a lot of it I've figured out on my own. Both have their benefits. So, but yeah, my first time like going really camping out in like a crazy mountain or anything, and driving really far off road was with some friends out in Wyoming.
So I think, you know, you mentioned how, you know, you learn a lot as a result of your own independent exploration as well as other people. And so I'd love to spend a few minutes talking about the other people and begin by asking you, as a woman, did you encounter any stereotypes that you had to grapple with to sort of build your confidence, build your courage, you know, in this regard?
Um, I feel like that's just kind of been a lifelong thing.
Mm,
Um, as far as like this specifically, I think when I go home and I talk to
mm,
people about the stuff I've done, they're just like, "What?" Because it's a different world.
mm,
If I'm out in Colorado and I'm talking about it, it's normal.
mm.
I'm not like I don't. Yeah, I'm not like a big deal, you know. But if I go home, I'm like telling my like a lot of people that I grew up and my parents about it.
Mm,
What did you do? So I think like there's as far as stereotypes, um, the ones that I've like fought with the most in my lifetime is the physical strength.
mm,
One and as far as like I am a really strong woman. Um,
mm,
and I grew up an athlete and like did grow up playing with like I didn't really want to be a girl when I was a kid because I was expected to do really boring stuff in my personal opinion. Um,
mm.
I remember there was this girl who I grew up with who was always like I would burp and she would be like, "That's gross. Like, don't you want to be a lady?" And I'm like, "No, why would I want to do that?" Um, so there have been a lot of kind of like expectations kind of thrown on me that I feel like getting out of Delaware has been helpful and also opened me up to the fact that like a lot of people have it a lot harder in that regard than I did in the amount that I never really I just kind of fought with the expectation a little bit.
Mhm,
I but like my parents didn't really like push any expectations on me or anything. Um,
mm,
but I don't know. I mean, there's certain things that when I'm traveling, I'm really careful about as far as like
mhm,
telling people where I'm staying or like um, just really checking out where I am when I'm camping somewhere. I try to get there before it's dark so that I can like see my surroundings.
mhm.
Anyone creepy around? Because there's like weird stuff that happens. I sleep with a machete.
Nice.
And when I came to New Orleans, I was really scared because I had never lived in a city and I had never lived anywhere that had much of a crime rate.
Mhm,
So I started doing martial arts. I got a job at a Krav Maga studio. um, and I got free classes and I was there like every day. So I was living
mhm,
and I got access to the gym when I wasn't working. So I would just do classes all the time. Um, because I wasn't familiar with the city. I came here, I didn't know anybody, and I
mhm,
had to figure out where was safe and where it wasn't, and like
mhm,
and meet people, and um. So I think like there have been some times I've been like nervous about being a woman doing what I do, um, but I just have tried to be really safe about not just while I'm traveling, opening up my car and being like, here's my
mhm,
everyone walking by on the sidewalk, like I just try and keep it really discreet and not look like there's anyone in there.
mhm.
That's my ability. Um, is what I'm, because otherwise I do get like nervous if someone is creepy. About like, oh no, they know what my car looks like or something.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So I know that, obviously your level of comfort with exploring nature as courageously as you do is something that has come to you over time. And I know that, you talked about your first legit mountain hiking experience in Mount Washington. And I know that, you've done a solo backpacking trip. And I want to spend some time talking about that. But I guess before we get there, I'd love to get a sense of, how did your friends or the people in your life as it relates to, exploring nature, how they helped build up your capabilities and confidence, and, what did it take from you to be able to be open to that, just so that we get a better sense of the process over
Um,
time.
I mean, I feel like as soon as you express an interest in something like that, I mean, there's people who do way more extensive backpacking trips than I've ever done.
Mm,
And it's like if you meet someone who is an expert and they're like super comfortable with it, and you see how comfortable they are, and you're just like, why am I so uncomfortable? You know, it's like so sometimes it's just like meeting that right person who's just like comfortable and pulls you out into it. And that's kind of, I mean, when I went camping in Yellowstone, or I was asked to go camping, and I was like, oh, I've never like gone camping before like that, you know. And
mm,
I think just being with people who were
mm,
comfortable doing it. Um,
yeah.
so I think a lot of kind of transitioning into new territory is just meeting new people.
Mm,
Sometimes that's kind of like a lonely road for a little bit when you're like transitioning out of something and into something else. You're kind of like, where do I go? Where's this person that I want to meet? And then you gotta like kind of seek it out. But yeah, just um, I think just doing it is the most important part.
so you said something very interesting, and I think this is a very important theme, which is, you didn't sit on your ass for these people to come into your life, right? Um, you put yourself out there, you sought them out. And as someone who sort of didn't grow up as a woman, do you feel like, personally or otherwise, that there are certain hurdles, internal or otherwise, that you had to sort of grapple with or overcome to put yourself out in a way to sort of be able to, meet those people? Um,
um, Sometimes I get really I'm told that no one can ever tell that this is happening
mm,
whenever, but I can get really socially anxious,
mm,
like just really like when I'm meeting someone, this like thing of like they're not gonna like me is just like in, but yeah, so sometimes I deal with that and I just gotta like um get that expectation to just be like that's not it's not really a rational thing for the moment. And also it really doesn't matter if everybody likes you or not, like because not everybody's going to, so that's also an important thing to remember. It's just like be yourself, you know.
mm,
So I just practice being myself. um and I think that's really important. to remember when you're like moving around and traveling a lot. It's kind of when you feel a little lost or directionless or something. Just trying to like recenter yourself is really important.
Mm.
And so yeah, as far as like socially anxious hurdles, I definitely go with those, and like kind of like I said, kind of these bouts of feeling really lonely, which is also like, I don't know, there's such a huge community of people. I think lately I've been seeking out of feminine community, and it's been awesome. Um, as far as like hanging out with other women, because sometimes when I am out traveling and stuff and I meet men, I don't always know their intentions,
Yeah.
or I feel like I do, and then like I didn't, or it's just like, yeah, I feel like it's easier. It's empowering for me to meet other women who are doing the things that I'm doing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it feels nice feeling empowered, you know. Um, so lately, I've really been steering myself towards like, okay, where are these like strong, independent women in the community like come together? Like, I want to be in that, because yeah, because my brain kind of, I can really isolate myself a lot sometimes, and then you find that there's a community that is also full of people who potentially do the same exact thing, and then you find each other and you're like, oh wow, I'm not by myself, you know, like got all these other people who are doing the exact same thing I'm doing, and it's, yeah, you don't feel so weird afterwards, you know.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So let's talk about your solo backpacking trip. So this is quite, I have no idea. So I myself have done a solo backpacking trip, and it's not an easy decision to make. And so, you know, at this point, how much time have you sort of spent sort of doing, being in the mountains, exploring? How long has it been, um, in the lead up to this solo backpacking trip? I'm trying to like paint a picture of, what kind of experience you've had. And the next thing I want to talk about is like, the lead up to your decision making, right?
Mm. Um, well, last year, was that last year? Two,
Summer, right?
2 years ago.
Okay.
Um, my friends and I took off on a like excursion through Arkansas,
Mm.
and I went backpacking with them. It was like me and three friends. Um, and I think that like I had never really gone backpacking before.
Mm.
I'm really good at living out of a car. I've like lived out of a backpack in Montreal,
Mm.
but I hadn't like gone into the woods and just been like, okay, I'm gonna like be here for a few days. I had
Mm.
never done that. Um, and I did that with some friends, and it was really awesome. It was really fun, and I felt so refreshed and just like amazing when I got out of there. And I wanted to do that again. And sometimes I'm not really sure who to ask. I don't really know who I want to like spend that much time with. I don't really know where I want to go. I'm not much of a planner. I'm kind of working on that a little bit because there's certain things I want to do that are a little bigger than the stuff I've done, because I don't plan very well and I just kind of go for it when I'm going for it. Spontaneous decision making. So I guess what Yellowstone was when I was 22. I'm 30 now. I just turned 30 in February. And
Congratulations.
thank you. So it's been about 8 years since I've left Delaware. Um,
Mhm.
kind of gone out and been doing this stuff. And 2 years ago, I did my first like backpack, like real backpacking thing. Oh no, I did one in Alaska. I lied. I did do one. I did it with some friends. I forgot about that. That was really great. So I had done it before, but but I was very unprepared when I did that first one. This one I had a little more prep and a
Mhm.
little more guidance before going in there, and a better backpack, I think, was important.
Mhm.
Um,
So you had a couple, a few, maybe a handful of experiences going backpacking with some friends.
yeah,
Talk to us about the lead up and the decision to go backpacking solo, and what were some of the, not hurdles that you were trying to navigate, but the resistance, if any, right, that you were trying to navigate to make that decision. I am doing this.
yeah. I think just like getting ready sometimes takes me a long time. And I'm like, do I have everything? I don't know. What if I like forgot this one thing? Da, da, da. So um, what I like to do now, which I try to stick to this more, is writing out lists and writing in my journal. I journal a lot. I journal a lot more intentionally than I used to. I used to just kind of
Mm,
like I don't know, just kind of dumb girly stuff when I was younger in my diary kind of thing. And now I'm like, okay, like what am I like what are my intentions? So when I write things out in my journal, if I read them back, I kind of see like what I really want. Um and you can log those patterns, those like thought patterns. Um and so much of it was like I want to be in the mountains, I want to be out in nature. Um and being I think now like being in New Orleans, kind of like a little bit more city conditioned, i lose I lose a little bit of my comfort level sometimes, and then I go back out in nature and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot what this felt like. um,
mhm,
so I'm not just like consistently out in it, so I have to kind of like work myself back into that a little. um, but the decision making process is also for myself. I'm really working on remembering doing one thing at a time, because I can go through hikes and just scroll through them and be like, that one looks cool. That one also looks cool. But that one also looks cool. And I could do that for a really long time before actually making a decision. So now I'm a little more like, okay, that one looks cool. Stop looking. It's like someone hands you a huge menu and there's like 12 ham sandwiches. And you're just like, which one do I want to pick? Um, so I think just remembering that it was really important for my decision making, just in general, one thing at a time. Um,
mm,
and um, yeah, kind of figuring out when to do it. When I did this, I was on adventure tour. So I decided I just kind of booked 3 gigs for my music out in Colorado, and decided I was going to go hiking for the rest of the time. And then I started getting a bunch of gigs. And I was actually stressed for a second because I had so much music I was doing in the week.
mm,
And I wasn't hiking as much because I was nervous about my time management,
mm,
and being late for my gigs and like all this stuff. So there was a lot of adjusting I was working with. But when I would have days off, I was trying to find hikes where I could go in for like a few days and just hang out and come back out, and not being like super familiar with the area and where it was actually like available to do that. I was just kind of asking people who I met or who I knew instead of scrolling on an app. It was a lot more rewarding to ask a person, because it really narrows it down too. They're not going to list like 200, ask you to scroll through.
Yeah.
You know? So I would say talk to people. Talking to people when you're really trying to learn an area is so much more effective than going on your phone and just like Googling everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say that was as far as the
Okay.
process. Yeah. Yeah.
So how long was your trip and, where? So paint us a picture of like, where you're doing this solo backpacking trip.
Um, I think I only really did just like one night in on the ones I did this summer. Um,
Okay.
Still figuring out what to pack a little bit. The one I did Gray Rock, which is right by Fort Collins. It was really beautiful. But I did get lost for a little bit of a time without water, which is really great.
So tell us more details, right? Because I wanted to sort of dive into that. Um,
That specific one.
yeah, that specific one.
um, so that one, there was water right at the very beginning. I have like my little water filter thing. So I
Yep.
filtered water. I filled up the biggest thing of water I could and like walked in, and there wasn't any other water for the rest of the time. I was thinking
Mhm.
there might be something. There was nothing. Um, and I started getting in, and I was kind of looking around like, where do I want to camp? And the sun was going down. I just kind of found this really pretty spot in the valley, and like, you gotta like hang up a bear bag when you're out there.
Mhm.
You just like sleep with your bacon, you want to put that somewhere. um, so I hung my bear bag.
So really quick, for people who have never been backpacking,
I did not.
so basically, when you bring your food into, the backcountry or like the nature, the wilderness, you can't just have it on you overnight, right? Like you have to keep it at least X yards away from where you're sleeping, and you have to like tie it high up in a tree.
Yeah.
And there's a process to it. It's not very hard, but the idea is you're trying to separate where you're sleeping from where your food is.
So they
Um,
don't find you.
yes, yes. Please continue.
Thank you for that. Um, yeah, so I did that, and then like the next day was like, I just want to climb to the top of this mountain and then like come down. I like woke up early and made breakfast and um ditched my backpack. I just like hid it somewhere. And I had like a little camelback. Or
Mm,
no, it wasn't a camelback. It was like my dry bag. That I just put I had like an apple and some other stuff. But I didn't
yeah.
sunscreen, which is
Mm,
that's a thing. Like I'm so ginger. It's just
yeah.
that's not it's not smart for me. Um, so I didn't have sunscreen. I didn't have enough water. I ran out of water. Um, and I ended up going to the top of this mountain rock. It was like a giant rock at the top. And on the way down, lost the trail for a second. And I thought I could loop back around and find it. And then I didn't. And I ended up on the other side of that top of the mountain. And I had to circle around the bottom and go all the way around. But there was like
Wow.
no shade. Like the sun was like directly on top of me. So I couldn't, like, I found shade, like a good amount of shade one time. It was like this rock that was kind of like this, like kind of leaned over. And I like hid underneath of it for a second and I ate this apple. And I was like, okay, like, I got to find the trail, and I knew how to get back to the trail. It was just like, how long is it going to take me to get there? And do I have enough stuff with me to be like, okay, for that amount of time?
Mm.
And I also there's like poison oak everywhere. So I was like hopping on rocks and trying to not be walking through a bunch of stuff that I was going to really regret later. So it was an adventure. I was honestly like kind of terrified for a second, mainly because of the sunscreen thing. That's just an anxiety that I have for myself because I have really pale skin. Um, so I did feel really goofy though, because when I got back to the trail, there was all these people that were just doing it as a day hike. And they all had like these like fancy leggings on, like looked all like clean, and they're just like walking with their dogs. And I like come out of the bushes like covered in stuff and just like, like oh my God, just like don't talk to anybody. Just like I just need to process all that for a second. But it's like, yeah, that was just me being, I can, you know, when I'm by myself, it's yeah, it's a little unnerving when I get lost when I'm by myself. But that's also stuff I could prevent by downloading a map before I go in, and bringing more water with me. It's like all things that like I could have done so much better and I didn't. That like really freaked me out. But I'm glad it happened. There's so many wild experiences that have happened out in nature, that it's like you just gotta trust, like, I'm gonna be okay. I just gotta like figure out what to do right now. Like, what can I do that will benefit me right now? Like, one step at a time kind of thing. So there have been a few wild things that have happened in life like that.
Yeah.
Gotta be like, you know, I'm gonna figure this out, and just have a optimistic attitude to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because you say, you know, like, sounds like some of the lessons that you learned from that experience was, you know, bring more water, the downloading the map. And honestly, one of the ways in which you and I are alike, in that I have this propensity to not plan as much either.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, the good thing is despite these situations that we get ourselves into, we end up okay. And we learn from our experiences.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's something inexplicable, I feel, within that, like, when you take those risks, it's not ones that are gonna be like, in the grand scheme of things, once you've gotten out of it, that you realize weren't that crazy, you know. And you kind of talked about how when you came back out, you saw these people in their fancy, cute leggings with their dogs.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely been there too. You know, I have been there, and I feel you. But you know, if I because I can tell you that I had some of those fears, different scenarios in my mind in the lead up to my solo backpacking trip. And I can tell you I was this close to not doing my trip, right? And it was quite for me, I'll speak for myself, quite the, you know, push and like exercise in like courage to just still do it. But like, had I sort of, succumbed to it, which it would have been okay, I would not have realized this. And now, as a result of that experience, I know that I can trust my instincts
Yep.
better when I have this desire to go after something and I like plan something out, that there is something inexplicable within me that is looking out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I guess one question that I have for you is, if you had the power to turn back time, right?
Uh-huh.
And you had a choice to choose that exact same experience, knowing now how it turned out, would you choose it or would you not? And there's no wrong answer,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like every little tiny step. Yeah, no, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. If I were to change anything, I would do more. Which is like what I'm wanting to do now. So I'm just like, okay, well, I can't change it, so I want to do more trips, and I'm looking into going other places. But that specific experience, I can't say I would change it
So,
because,
quick clarification.
yeah.
You said if you could change it, would you change, would you choose to do more in that experience or just
I would have done more backpacking trips.
gotcha
Yeah.
during that time?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a feeling that you are going to be doing
More.
many more. And, I'm going to put it out into the universe that if it deems so, that you and I get to do a backpacking trip one day.
Loss. But yes.
Sorry?
I was that's what you were playing with. I was like, is that dental floss?
Oh,
But yes.
okay. Just in case you all on the podcast missed it, we're filming live,
Yeah.
and Jillian caught me just randomly playing with my dental floss and called me out on
I
it.
didn't. I do.
and
I do
I
that.
think it's
Like,
hilarious. I think it's
it's so
hilarious.
sad. Though, like I had a show the other day, and like I was playing this song. It was kind of like a sad song, and afterwards I looked at my friend and I was like, "Are you crying right now?" But I didn't mean it. Just came out of my mouth, and I was like, "Oh shit!" That was like, it's like I should probably not let people cry.
I
Um,
love it. And not only that, I'm going to make sure when we do post production that this part stays.
oh, beautiful.
And because it's such a high note.
Yeah.
On that note, let's culminate for today. Jillian, thank you so much for making the time to show up, be fully present, and sort of be so open and honest about your life, and sharing it with the audience to help enrich their life and nudge them to get out of your comfort zone. Um, are there any last
Yeah.
words that you would like to share with the audience before we break?
I guess just yeah, if there's something that you really want to do, I think just focusing on the steps to get there is a little less overwhelming than thinking about the end point. So it's just something to remember, one thing at a time. I gotta remind myself about that all the time. Otherwise, I just run around like a stress monkey. I don't know what that means, but it felt right to say. So, uh,
Of course.
yeah,
Of course.
I think that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to our wonderful audience for joining. And I wish you love and light.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Get Out of Your Comfort Zone series. This episode was such a great reminder for me about the power we gain when we decide to embrace our fears, live in the moment, and make the choice to move forward. I hope it moved you and inspired you if you are feeling stuck with something in your life. If you would like to further connect with Jillian, please see her contact in the description. Please consider taking a moment to rate this podcast. Please consider showing us some love on your Instagram story. You can find our info in the episode description. Until the next episode, I wish you infinite love and light. Thank you so much for tuning in.